Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. She's a TV correspondent, CW6 News San Diego, as well as One America News Network, and her website, thekdreport.com. And with this report, she streams live at periscope.com, Facebook, and a little bit later on, YouTube. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm fine. How about yourself, Chuck?
Pretty good. Well, there is a lot going on. Got the impeachment, and we've got Hezbollah, and I think we're going to talk about impeachment first.
Yeah, well,
on your first, right?
Of course, as we corresponded in the last 20 minutes or so here, now we have some of the results out from the Horowitz report right on cue for Democrats. They, this morning, took the time and completely went after the president, saying that all of this impeachment stuff is warranted. He, is guilty of a number of different acts, apparently. And then as we turn to the afternoon shift, that it is time that the Republicans are going to actually get to start asking questions. Bam! Immediately, on cue, the Horowitz report is released, and now you have all the major, I went through and checked all the major outlets. They've left the impeachment now, and they've gone to the Horowitz report coverage, because if you read the first few pages of the Horowitz reports, it says there was no political bias, that Comey, McCabe, Strzok, and the others acted appropriately. So now they're covering this during the time when the Republicans are going to are trying to dismantle the case against the president that has been leveled by the Democrats. So, I mean, if I was Donald Trump today, President Trump today, I'd be extraordinarily upset to think that when my time or when my people are going to, step up the investigation and kind of try to put some holes in some of this, they're going to go over and talk about the Horowitz report, which basically says there's no bias, that there were 17 errors that they had identified, but that there was no action warranted. Of course, it's 400 pages. Will take us all a little bit to read.
Boy, Kimberly, it seems to me like the definition of bias may have been changed or something,
Yeah. Well,
Pretty obvious, isn't it?
I think that this is an interesting, it's an interesting timing, I think, just, for the obvious reasons on the political bias, not only now we're getting it on TV as well. But I also, you have to look at Horowitz came out with a report on Hillary Clinton's emails after the fact. And he basically came back and said that, well, maybe she made some mistakes, but it's not worth prosecution. It's not worth anything. And, it's, happened a long time ago. Don't worry about it. So I think what you're getting, and I think Republicans were hoping, in fact, Attorney General Barr came out and just slapped or made a statement that completely slapped Horowitz's report, saying that so far what he's reading is completely unacceptable and the opposite of what actually happened. So now you're going to have the Republicans kind of tried to dismantle Horowitz, but I don't know that we should be super surprised by Horowitz's report, because he cleared Hillary Clinton of all of her emails, which we know for a fact is illegal to keep those documents. And then, of course, to delete them all is another crime. So they were resting their hopes that Horowitz was going to come out and save the day today, and he did quite the opposite.
Yep, and I got to confess, I thought the Horowitz report was going to be, 80% positive on Trump at least.
Yep.
And I was kind of misled too.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me, because I didn't have time to get into all of it, but whenever Sleepy Nader, is that his name?
Yeah.
Nadler, yeah. Whenever he would let number one, they were talking about, I guess the Republicans received 8,000 pages, like the last 48 hours. He said, we don't have enough time to read all that. He said, you're out of order, you're out of order, you're out of order. And then the other thing I saw was something about, they said, well, you called him as a witness, and you said he wasn't a witness, and he wouldn't explain that. That's the part I'm kind of, other than Horowitz, I'm confused about. Those two things.
Well, you have somebody that that the Democrats have brought as a witness in the events that are taking place, and then you're having the said witness, in essence, question himself. So the I mean, obviously, people who are, congressmen or women who are attorneys on the right are going to look at it and say, well, you can't have a witness question himself, and this is going to be for the record, and we're going to impeach the president of the United States over it. So they went back and forth, and in the end, they allowed the witness to question himself and, make the president look bad and say that he's committed multiple impeachable offenses, and this is the worst thing that's ever happened to our entire country. Forget the Civil War, slaves, forget all that stuff. None of it. This is the absolutely worst thing that we could do. The president, reached in and, said that he was going to take out his political opponent, that being Vice President Joe Biden, which is not a front runner really any longer. And I think that it warrants that, if they're going to go after the president on this issue, then isn't it only right that they go after Biden and Hunter Biden on the very same issue that they're claiming the president should be impeached for? Maybe Biden should not be able to run for president as a result of this. But that's not the thinking that you're going to see from the mainstream media today. Those are questions. And I would be completely open to that. If they want to say, okay, we're going to go after President Trump because he withheld this and he was looking into the corruption situation in Ukraine. If you're going to do that, fine. Okay, that's, oversight clearly has that. But on the other side, then you need to pull Hunter Biden in. You need to pull Vice President Biden in, who aren't in the executive privilege department. And this is why they won't go there, because they will have to come in under a subpoena under this process. And they will be asked some very tough questions. So if we're going to do it for the president, then we must do it for the vice president. And if we're going to do this, then I'm completely open to them asking the president of the United States these questions. But I also want to see the vice president, former vice president, and his son being held account to the exact same level. They've got like 20 people running for president. They're surely not going to miss, Joe Biden in the middle of all this. I say that jokingly.
If you're watching any sports, like football games, stuff like that over the weekend, chances are you probably think Bloomberg's going to be the next president.
Yeah.
He was running ads on all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're talking about what he did to the Ukraine, all right, for the Ukraine and the military money and all the other stuff that was going to go for the Ukraine. But yet, we spent almost 2 years talking about how the president is working with Russia. Now, wait a minute. The Ukraine is the enemy of Russia. Russia invaded the Ukraine.
Yeah.
But it seems like the Democrats can't pick their enemies, for some reason.
Well,
overall,
and let's, and I'm just going to put out, you actually put out something that's really important. That statement you made, very important. Because you know what? Ukraine, they lost Crimea. Let's see, wait a minute. From the Obama administration. The Obama administration let Russia march 20, 30,000 troops, which we saw on all the satellites marching down there. You can't move that many people without all of our satellites going ding, 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 ding. And they allowed them to go down and do this. So they did not make they didn't come out. President Obama didn't come out and go, oh my gosh, Russia, it looks like Russia's about to invade Crimea. That's Ukrainian territory. What are we going to do? We need to come out and be strong against Russia. And we heard not a peep about it. And now all of a sudden it's the most important thing that's happened in the last 20 years. So I think when you look at this, you have to look at the Democrats. I mean, and they're clearly, even Drudge is a part of this, which is very disappointing. The major message that they're putting out is that the president of the United States represents a clear and present danger. Well, I look at it as, I saw a movie a while ago that had Harrison Ford in it, and it was called Clear and Present Danger. And they were using that for, the war against the drugs in South America, in essence. But in any event, it looks like they're busy watching Hollywood to get their catchphrases, because that sounds really ominous. It's a clear and present danger. Well, what's the danger here? We're voting in 10 months. Basically, do the Democrats think that the president's going to, somehow go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to be dictator for life. I'm changing. I'm taking it all over. Let's be serious. But that's what they're trying to imply. And they're trying to let people out there know that the president is a clear and present danger to this country. And that just is beyond hilarious because it's not true.
And then nothing, no squabbles, no hearings, anything about Obama getting caught. You know, I'll have more leeway after my election. Pass it on there to the Russian president.
That's okay. That's clear. To me, that sounds like clear and present danger, but there was nothing and that was picked up on hot mic. So it's not even, this is second or third hand information. This was picked up off of a hot mic. The entire process that we're going through, I mean, I guess, we've been falling on the, education level here in this country for the last, a couple of decades. We aren't, educating our children. And so when these children become young adults and millennials, they're going to see what's going on here. They're going to watch it and go, hey, that looks really bad. That sounds really bad. And we've got to, go out. We need to make sure that, we get rid of this president. And, and you have a media, willing and able to do this. And I'm going to make one other tie to this as well. We have since in the last several weeks, we've seen the Epstein case, which he was a horrific, evil human being. That's just full stop. He was found to have recorded via audio, video, certain members of people in this country, presumably lawmakers, presumably people inside the FBI, CIA. While they're collecting all this stuff and they're doing these heinous acts to these minor children, they're taking pictures. And so do you think that maybe that some of these people inside the media might be a part of that and might actually be saying, hey, you got to go out on TV and say A, B, or C, or we're going to release these pictures and they aren't really going to look too good for you. We're going to release this audio and it's not going to look too good for you. This is where we're at. This is the clear and present danger. So who was behind Epstein and where did all of that information go to? That's what this country should be talking about right now. And this is something that you and I, Chuck, have talked about for a long period, for years, that the potential threat of blackmail has been taking over even the Supreme Court. We've had some questions about some really weird, situations with that. So this is very deadly serious, and we're not talking about the right issue.
Well, and with the Supreme Court, that is the thing I'm thinking about, and that was under Obamacare and a bunch of hanky-panky. That even involved one Republican, but it was, hearsay.
Mm-hmm. Or Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious is another one of those,
Oh, yeah. And they even bugged Cheryl Atkinson's computer.
They do it to all journalists.
You started investigating it.
They do that to all of us journalists. We all get that treatment. We all get that.
Real quick, you brought up Matt Drudge a while ago. The Rasmussen report just said that they have got a report that Matt Drudge has probably sold his news Drudge report, and so that's why it's gone that way. So we kind of have to wait and see what happens on that.
Yeah.
Another thing, Kimberly, is that with all of this going on, all right, CNN is now dead last in cable rating. That came out over the weekend. Dead last. Fox, is beating them and MSNBC combined. Trump ratings have gone up 52% since his impeachment. So, I think the American people are not asleep, so to speak.
Well, I think they're not asleep. And also, I have to say this about the Fox ratings and all of that. While Fox does hold on to that, they have no competitors, basically. So when you're looking at, CNN's at dead bottom, well, they've got NBC, MSNBC, CNN. So they have, several competitors, and that those certain stations, the, viewers split up between them. So that is also going to, give Fox a little bit higher ratings than actually CNN. Although CNN is not even a credible news outlet anymore, and they ought to just be at the top of every hour and every 5 minutes that they're talking, say this is an opinion show. That's what they do. Tucker Carlson, at the top of the hour and throughout, it's my opinion. It's an opinion show. He's always good about making that comment, as are, other people like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, there's a lot of them saying that, you know, we do journalism and all, but we also are an opinion outlet. CNN doesn't do anything of the sort. They just consider that whatever they think, whatever Democratic talking points they get for the day, that's what they're reporting, and it's actual fact, when in fact it is not fact. So yeah, so that's what you're looking. I mean, and I don't think Americans, I mean, I just think the nonstop wall-to-wall coverage on this one topic, everybody's, you know, growing tired. I mean, the second I start seeing, again, you know, I'll flip through and look to see what's going on in the news. I can't even really watch the news anymore. I'm down to like reading, because it's just atrocious, the coverage on this. And it's incredibly sad, because there's going to be a big story, and maybe this Epstein story with all of the blackmail and all that, that could be the big story that is completely yeah.
All right. Let's take our break real quick. We'll be back more from Kimberly Dvorak. Her website, all right, is thekdreport.com. Thekdreport.com, and she streams live, periscope.com, and Facebook. Kimberly, it was interesting. We were going to talk about Iran and Hezbollah, and of course we got tied up with the other stuff.
The other news,
It's interesting that report came out. Iran may have killed more than 1,000 protesters in their thing. 7,000 more arrested. Then we got what was it? The Gulf Cartel gunman in the border city of Reynosa that fired at 2 of their rivals who were still alive.
Yeah.
And Kimberly had this excellent report we were going to get into and didn't have time about Iran and its proxy Hezbollah financing Mexican drug cartels. I mean, wow. And it seems like the big arrow is pointed towards the United States.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, again, I mean, these are all important stories. I think what the media is focusing on with the impeachment, at least most aspects of it, just is wasting our time, and actually could be attributing to our new national security crisis, which comes via Hezbollah, as well as what we're not doing along that southern border, which is protecting it against anybody who comes into the country. If anybody out there talk to the mainstream media, apparently I will be called a racist for making this statement, but you know that the cartels are actually now, yes, they're taking money from terrorists in the Middle East, and they are smuggling humans across the border. So how many terrorists are actually in this country? We saw what happened down in Florida a few days ago, and that just didn't seem like a very nice thing to have Saudi Arabian national come over here, learn all about our aeronautics and all of that, and then, you know, simply kill a few people because, hey, he decided that he was going to, you know, side with the folks over at Radical Islam and ISIS and Al Qaeda and that. Those are actual facts that are happening, and these things are going on every day on our southern border, and the country wants to know what's going on with this. And I can just say that when people read my stories or watch broadcasts, we track everything. And when I'm talking about the southern border and Mexico and all that, the ratings go sky high, because the Americans want to talk about what's going on in Mexico and the terrorism, and they want to see who's responsible for all of these people, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who are overdosing in this country and dying from drugs that came through the southern border, whether it's ports of entry or the desert, it doesn't matter. They're all still getting here, and we're not doing anything about it. We're just continuing to lie. Americans want to talk about that issue. Americans elected President Donald Trump on that issue. It's time that we get back to that issue. And unfortunately, today we had some dueling breaking news about all this stuff. But for the next several weeks, this is where I will be focusing the majority of my reporting and getting the information out, so your listeners can, you know, look at the situation and do their own research if they need to, and realize why it's super important that we cover that border, because as far as I know, the people in the Middle East aren't that great of swimmers, and I don't think they're swimming over to our country. So if we have our northern and southern protected, then guess what? We'll be just fine. We won't be fighting them here. They won't be able to get here.
Let me leave you with this thought that I mentioned last week. The previous president at the base Fort Hood, 14 killed, called it workplace violence.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the President Trump death would have said that was workplace violence.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy is unbelievable.
It's very
All
sad.
out of time here, Kimberly, and hey, look forward to next week. Kimberly Dvorak, it's Dvorak